4 states alone have passed heartbeat abortion bills. That's at a term of about 6 weeks when the heartbeat can be detected, abortion then becomes illegal. Those states are Georgia, Ohio, Kentucky, and Mississippi. This is taking hold around the nation. But will this bill, if signed into law by the governor and litigated, will it pass muster if this case goes to the United States Supreme Court? Here to help us answer that is our next guest, Bryan Kemper. Bryan is an outreach director for Priests for Life. Bryan, great to see you.
Thank you for having me on again. It's a pleasure.
Always good to see you guys from Priests for Life, Bryan. Father Frank is a good friend of the show. All right, let's talk about this bill. Let's assume Governor Ivey signs this bill. It becomes law. This one is almost certainly going to the United States Supreme Court. So for supporters, and Priests for Life is usually at ground zero in these issues, what are the legal arguments to the Supreme Court to say that this bill does not violate Roe v. Wade?
Well, I think that what we need to look at is a bill that eventually is going to go to the Supreme Court that will help overturn Roe v. Wade. We all know that Roe v. Wade is a law or a decision handed down by the Supreme Court that is something that is absolutely insane, to be honest. Similar to when the Supreme Court back in the 1800s passed the Dred Scott decision to uphold the two-thirds compromise that dehumanized black people. The same thing. The Roe versus Wade dehumanizes, strips the personhood from human beings when they are still in their mother's womb. And what this law in Alabama is doing is recognizing that these human beings are just that. They're human beings. They're people that have every right that you or I have. And Alabama, I'm celebrating because Alabama is recognizing that those preborn children don't deserve a death sentence simply because of their age.
Yeah, now, Bryan, I'm with you on that. But these legislators in Alabama, they're smart men and women. Do they have to know that this is going to be, and I think it will be this bill, because it's the most restrictive, that this is going to be the Roe v. Wade litmus test? Right now, one of the arguments, Father FrankPavone and I, the director of Priests for Life, we've had this conversation on air many times, and Father Frank makes an excellent point in that, look, the medical science in 1973, when Roe v. Wade was argued, is much different. And I agree with him, right? Nobody walks into a hospital, Bryan, with a life-threatening condition and says, hey, by the way, treat me with 1973 technology and methodology, right? Treat me with 1973 medicine. You don't do that. So I have to think there's got to be an argument there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We all know now with basic embryology, with photography, with video of life in the womb, knowing what an embryo, a zygote, a fetus is, it's a human being. There is no argument. Even most people on the other side don't deny that it's a human being anymore. A week ago, I was in the maternity ward for the birth of my first grandchild. And they were in there, the doctors and the nurses were there to help bring living human beings out of the womb and right there in the world. And we all know what it is. So yes, this needs to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court needs to relook at Roe versus Wade and understand that with the knowledge we have, with the technology we have, with everything that we know now, Roe versus Wade was bad law. It was bad law.
And it was nearly 50 years ago, right? 48 years ago. Science has changed. And this is why the left really gets to me, because the left is only about science when it comes to climate change. And the left is about science when it comes to welfare and social programs. But when you bring science into the abortion debate, all of a sudden you're some far-right Christian terrorist who's, how dare you say this clump of cells has a heartbeat? There's no consistency in the left's messaging on this issue.
Absolutely. We know that whether you're a zygote, an embryo, a fetus, an infant, a toddler, a teenager, an adult, a senior citizen, those words simply describe the stage of development that a human person is in. That's what it is. That's science. This is not about emotion. Right. This is not about, oh, but women are forced to be pregnant. No. When women are pregnant, they have a human being living inside of them. And what we're saying is it's not okay to kill an innocent human being.
But this is the same party, and I'm going to look, let's face it, we have to define this often on political party lines, because it is the Democratic Party who are the protectors of Planned Parenthood, the biggest pay-for murder racket, in my opinion, in the history of the world. They put ISIS, Al-Qaeda, La Cosa Nostra to shame with the amount of people they've killed. So when in that context, you look at certain sides of the political spectrum, and you have to ask yourself, do these people even care about those scientific definitions of what a human being is? Because these are the same people, Bryan, arguing for the legal ability to kill born babies once
Absolutely.
they've been delivered.
And it's I think their hypocrisy is astounding. On Twitter all day today, people have been saying, "Oh, when kids are killed at schools, Republicans are silent."
Right, I know.
That couldn't be farther from the truth. I think you or I or Father Frank, any one of us, if had the opportunity to be in a school before a school shooting, would lay our lives down for those kids.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
It's absolute insanity for them to say that, but they can't address the actual facts. They cannot address the fact that scientifically this is a human person. They have to go off on rabbit trails and try to put this on different spectrums and try to talk about different issues because they cannot address the actual scientific facts and look sane.
Bryan, what do you think? Does Governor Ivey down there in Alabama, does she sign this bill?
I will tell you, I will be on my knees praying that that's what happens, and I know a lot of people will. I hope the governor does the right thing and signs this bill, and we are going to celebrate. I'll be honest, in my car all day running errands, the only song I've been playing all day is Sweet Home Alabama, and just absolutely celebrating.
Well, we're going to be watching this one closely, Bryan, and we'll have all of you from Priest for Life back on the show, that's for sure. Good friends of the show. Bryan Kemper, Priest for Life, thanks very much.
And thank you for being a news source that actually gives the truth and science and not just emotion.
I appreciate that. Have a great one, Bryan. Good to see you.